Welcome back, everybody, to another Voice in the Void. It's your boy Brandon, as always, and today I have a special guest with me, Michelle. So if you don't mind, Michelle, you can go ahead and introduce yourself in any way you want to, and tell us anything possible.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, my name is Michelle Steiner. I live in Pennsylvania with my husband Ron and our two cats, Jack and Sparrow. I am a writer, speaker, photographer, and paraeducator. I work in a school with students who have disabilities and some who don't. And I also have a blog called Michelle's Mission where I write about my life with a learning disability and I feature my photography as well.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what's the disability?
Sure. I have dyscalculia, which is a math learning disability. I have limited hand dexterity in both of my hands, and I have visual perception issues that's in my brain, not in my eyes.
Okay. Is that, if you don't mind, would you be able to explain a little more? Like the math
Sure.
one, I kind of understand.
Right,
Uh,
right. Yes, I have difficulty with numbers and how they work. I'm not able
yeah.
to tell how to tell time on the face of a clock. I confuse my right from my left. The hand dexterity is where I have difficulty with my fine motor skills, like with writing my name. I have difficulty with locking doors, unlocking doors. Uh, it's hard for me to be able to use a manual can opener. It's like operating a spaceship for me. So I have some other things that I need to do with that. And then I also have the visual perception. It it involves more of my reaction time and just how I process how I see things and just where my body is in space. I have normal vision, but it can be really difficult for me. So I'm not able to drive and some things like sports were a nightmare for me. Gym class was a nightmare for me growing up. Anytime
Okay.
something would come in my eyes, I would flinch. So that was really difficult for me.
Okay. So it's more or less like how they say cat-like reflexes. You don't have that type of
Yeah.
reflex.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay. Um. So I have a form of dyslexia with reading.
Okay. Nice.
Um.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's only reading, like math, all the
Right.
numbers, I get that 100%, but it's when you get to reading, it's like all the numbers start to scramble on the page together or the letters. The letters will start scrambling together and I'll actually say I get documents from like the court or from work, whatever it might be. I'll
Right.
give it to my wife and
Mhm.
she'll actually read it to me or help me fill out whatever it might be.
Right, because that's the thing with learning disabilities. It affects one area generally, or it can affect more. But usually, what you'll have is this discrepancy. Like for me, it's with reading. I'm really great at that. I I'm writing. Maybe there's just a slight thing with that, like with comprehension. But and then there's this huge gap with math because
Mhm.
I cannot do math to save my life. And that is, and it sounds like with you, it's math is your high area, and
Mhm.
reading is definitely the lower one, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I just they discovered I had that issue, but they blamed it when I was young. I don't know how old you are, but when I was younger in elementary school, they actually blamed it on my ADHD or ADD because I have both.
Okay.
I have ADHD, ADD, and
Okay.
I'm dyslexic. So
Wow,
so
okay.
they say my mind is moving at like 100 miles per hour when I'm trying to read, where with
Mhm.
math, I can, for the most part, get it pretty quick.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I was diagnosed whenever I was in kindergarten. I was really lucky that my teacher saw that I was struggling in the classroom and recommended that I get tested for having one. And they didn't give it a specific name at that point. They didn't call it dyscalculia. They didn't know I had limited hand dexterity. They did know I have visual perception issues, but yeah, growing up, uh, I could definitely tell that I had that. Things would fall out of my hands, and it
mhm,
was hard for me to write my name. And we just thought, okay, well, that's a learning disability trait. Well, it's part of it, but it's also a separate diagnosis in itself.
yeah, yep. Um, yeah, actually, with the form of dyslexia, can never remember the name that people have told me. I'm just like, all right, it's a type of dyslexia. It counts.
Right.
But they actually found that out my sophomore year in high school.
Uh-huh.
They because they always blamed it on the ADHD or the ADD that
Yeah.
I just wasn't paying attention, or I was
Right.
always hyper asphyxiated on something else. And
Mhm.
yeah, what they had all these different things they were trying to pin it on, and well, it turns out it wasn't what they were trying to say it was.
Mhm.
And it tends to happen, unfortunately. It goes missed every day. There's uh
Right.
people that have that struggle, and it's cool. I'm actually I pulled up your page here.
Mhm.
um I'll show that real quick if you don't mind.
Sure, go right
um
ahead.
you can always like pinpoint me in the direction that
Okay.
you might want me to go. You said you have this blog.
Right. I have
um
that. Yep. And on there, yeah, I talk about just different parts of that. I use a lot of nature analogies, where I might talk about walking through my life with a disability, the metamorphosis of having a learning disability, and those are just some different things that I get that chance to talk about. And I try
okay.
to make it, yeah, simple so a person with a disability could understand or has a family member with that as
Hmm.
well. That is one of them. And yeah,
Let's
then the
see.
social feed, that's kind of where people can find like the social media of
Okay.
different things. Um, that I'm a part of with different places I've been published in, and sometimes it might come up as a well, with having a podcast as well on there is
Mhm.
with that.
Okay.
So that, and then the next one, if you look up at the top, is that's okay. That's some of the different podcasts that I've been on,
Okay.
and yeah, just
Oh,
some
you've
different
been on a
ones.
number of them.
Yeah, I
Look at that.
have.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you've been getting the word out for a little while at least now.
Yeah, I have been for a few years now. When I started my original blog that I started was about 6 or 7 years ago. Once
Yeah.
COVID happened, I got a grant from Disability Pride. They were doing one for uh, arts fund, like were you like putting together like a piece of art or things. And I thought, well, I'm going to start my own blog, and I'm going to really start having that. So I had some of that, and yeah, took off from that point. So we've been working at that. Yeah, and then I
That's
also have
cool.
I have like yeah, I have like some press. Those are some of the places that I've been published at too. The Mighty, that was my very first article that got published many years
Okay.
ago. And yeah, and I've had word gathering. I've had an article published, and I've also had some photography there.
There's
Nonverbal learning.
nonverbal.
Yeah, I've had some things
This is
published on that.
this is actually really cool to
Thank
um
you.
like I'm happy it's gotten some of the acknowledgement that especially you've been pushing for. Um
Right.
because again
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of people that it goes unknown.
Right.
Can't really see
Yeah.
that one. It's white on pink.
Yeah, I gotta get that a little bit up there, but that's a public source. I wrote an article about my first solo trip that I went to Orlando, Florida with. Yeah, I gotta
Oh,
fix that one a little bit.
yeah,
Always a learning
it's
process. Yeah,
uh,
I
no,
always
it's
make sure.
perfectly fine. That's the whole point of it, right? You're learning
Yeah,
along the way to be able to get certain things out.
right. And then that's one of the anthologies I was published in with a bunch of
Okay.
others with some other people's stories as well. And
That's so
I was
cool.
featured in Disability Horizons magazine. And, Distinct was it's a learning disabilities magazine that I was featured in my work that I do with
Oh,
students. So,
so succeeding with a disability.
mhm,
Okay.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, that's so cool. And do you have upcoming events?
I do have some. I mean, this was an older event that I spoke at in December, but I do have
Okay.
sometimes I will put like some events that I might speak at. This was an older one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got
And then this is a store. I have things that like
oh,
prints, anything that I have, I have different photography, like, for prints that people can purchase, and that's just some of my photography that I have that I
I
took
seen
from
some of
from
them that you posted just a little bit ago too on,
Uh-huh.
Facebook.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like, you're pretty good with the camera, I'll give you that.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's a good talent to have, especially nowadays where everything is based off of, well, some type of image, video,
I
or
know.
photograph, so
I know. So it's good to, yeah, to have that. I like having a lot of my own. Sometimes I do use some other ones too, like some stock photos, like for my
I
blog,
like
like
that
with the
one.
art. But oh, thanks. That was a topiary garden that was, I believe, in, I think, Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually at an old school. They had residential school for students who I think were either blind or deaf. So that was
Oh,
one of the.
okay.
So yeah, they kept up a little park with that.
So cool.
Thank you.
Uh, um, so I about to say I don't mind know if you want me to show too far down,
Sure,
but
no, that's okay. Yeah, that's just where people can contact, and yeah, thank you so much.
yeah, it's no problem. Like I said, the point is to
Mhm.
try to help get some of this push to people, and
Yes.
especially like in this scenario,
Mhm.
you have the capabilities to uh have the outreach to help people that have some of the disabilities.
Right.
Like like I've learned along the way how to work with it,
Mhm.
um, which I've gotten a lot better. I'll say that at least with the
Right.
reading for the most part.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I've had to go a long time with not knowing how to get away with it or get
Right.
around it. So, like, I'm 31 now. I found out when I was 15,
Mhm.
16, something like that, when that's when they finally said, "Hey, we think this is what you have."
Oh. Oh my
I was like,
goodness.
and it's after I decided I was gonna go be a little troublemaker and skip school and do all this other stuff, and like,
Mhm.
and so we don't think you're ever just a class clown, as we used to call you, Brandon. We think that you have this learning issue, but as they also said, it's not severe enough to put you in the helping class.
Oh my goodness.
So
That's
it was one
hard.
of the things I dealt with it. I graduated still. I graduated early.
Good.
Um, well, I say I graduated early, but
Mhm.
yeah, I could have at least if it
Right.
wasn't for some of the technical issues. Like
Uh-huh.
they had to take away it was like 5 credits
Oh
because
my
they said I
goodness.
didn't earn them the right way through the proper schooling.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yep. So I had
Wow.
to go back through. I still did it. I had it done in a couple months, but it
Mhm.
wasn't bad.
Well, I had to repeat kindergarten, so I was a year behind,
I had to repeat
whoever
first
in
grade
class. Yeah? But, I
because I
mean,
wouldn't
it
read
was
in front of people.
okay, so you had to do that. Yeah, everyone thinks those early years are so easy, and sometimes they don't turn out to be really easy years. They can be
Yeah.
really hard, especially because everything was rote memory, when I was in elementary school. Then I'd get throughout school and I'm like, "Oh, this is a lot this is easier now that we're applying
Mhm.
more things and I was making good grades, making honor roll." But it got a lot harder for me though socially. That's when I think it
Yeah.
was really the most difficult time for me.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't really have a hard time social
Mhm.
wise. I
Okay.
had that
Good.
opportunity where like I was an athlete. I played football,
Okay.
basketball,
Yes.
wrestling,
Yeah.
baseball,
Mhm.
track. But one of the issues came in when I wasn't taking the opportunity to learn um to learn the playbook because I couldn't get it figured out the right way.
Ah, so
Um,
yeah, so I could see how that would be with me to
yeah, so
figure that
and they try to
yeah,
get people to help me, but I was like, "You know what? Let me see how it runs and I'll be able to do it." So
okay.
they let it go by for a little bit. Then my grades started to go down and they kicked me off the team anyway, so
Mhm.
it
That's
was one
hard.
of those things. That's how I look at it. It's one of those,
Yeah.
it's where my adventure ended with that those, sports that I was in. So,
Okay.
I ended up getting by. I mean, obviously, I'm doing a lot better now,
Good.
uh, but yeah, and it seems like you're doing wonderful. You have all these different,
Mhm.
um, well, adventures on your hands right now.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's I don't know what to
It
say about that. That's
right,
cool.
everything did work out for me. It didn't look like it was going to for some time, but it
Mhm,
really did, and I can remember I had people telling me, "Well, I don't think you can go to college because your math difficulties." They suggested a trade school, but nothing interested me at the school. And I even had a psychiatrist who tested me and said, "Oh, you're most likely not going to go beyond community college." And well, I went to community college and I faced even more stigma when I was there. I had people that were thinking disability accommodations were cheating. I had staff that thought that. I can remember asking for a calculator in a math class, and they're like, "Oh no, we don't use them there. We use our brains." And had an advisor who told me I was going to have limited job choices when I graduated because I wouldn't know how much art paper to give out to kids when if I was working with them. So it was, and people, my peers were saying, well, that's cheating if you get extra test time. So yeah, that was a really difficult time for me
mhm,
when I was in school, but I was able to be able to graduate and get my associate's degree. And I took a little bit of a break and I really wondered what my purpose was. And I had to move back in with my parents because I'd moved out on my own for a while and my finances just wasn't going that great. And then I
mhm.
thought, this is the time to go back to go back to school. And I think it's when I did that that I really started to have that confidence. I was using the accommodations. I was doing well. I found a program that had the least amount of math and science possible. And I think that, and once I graduated, it also changed my perspective. I used to think, oh, my life will be perfect once my disability goes away. Well, that didn't happen when I graduated, but I had more confidence that came along with that, and that's
Right.
something that I just carried with me through the rest of my life.
Well, I mean, it seems like it's worked, and you said you've had some issues with, like, the writing aspect, and
Right.
you're a writer, you still managed to do that. How long would you say it takes to write one of your blogs or, papers, whatever it might be, with having this issue?
Right. Mostly it was my handwriting when I was growing up. I remember people were telling me, well, if you want to be, you have to be neat. And to this day, an editor has not asked for anything handwritten. I've also had I have a very slight issue with grammar, and it's typical issues. I can remember being in college, and I was had professors that told me at university, "Oh, you're not a good writer, or you're really bad at this." And I would take my paper to the writing center on campus, and they would look at it. The grad students, they said, "This hardly is anything that really needs our attention." They're like, "This, these are mistakes we make." And my husband will say the
So, it
same
was
thing.
just how it was written
Right,
is
it was
that
how
they
it was
had the
written,
issue with.
and it was some grammar, and there is a really good app that I am able to have it go through, and it doesn't change anything, so it's not like I'm using AI for that, but it is like it'll show me, "Oh, you have a passive voice here," and that'll give me that clue, "Okay, do I wanna go back in, and do I wanna just rework that sentence myself
Mhm.
and figure out how to make it a strong voice?" Or it'll tell you, "This sentence is hard to read," or "You have a weakener here." And what that does, I'm not, changing it. I mean, I'm changing it on my own using my own words, but it's like, a spell check that shows, or a grammar check that can show, okay, this is some of the areas that you need to work on with your writing. And I think sometimes that helps too, and I've also learned how to expand, I think, with that, and just to run it through, and also have my husband's my favorite editor, so he will look over things too, and he can kinda
The
help me
favorite
with.
editor. I like that.
Yes,
You
yes.
gave him a role and everything.
Yes, because he writes too, so, I mean, it's really nice to have
Okay,
that, and I
so
can write.
it
Yeah,
helps
and
having someone to help look over it.
right,
That's
it
awesome.
does. Yep, and then I have a great writing group too that we look over each other's writing, and that's the thing I had to learn with writing too. It's not going to be perfect when you get it out there. Some
Yeah.
things might take a little bit longer, other things might be short, but sometimes I'm the one that's going through that and I'm like, okay, I'm going to change this, or I might be unclear on this. And sometimes we can't see our own mistakes, or we
Mhm.
can't see those areas until maybe you do go into a group and someone's going to point that out,
Right.
and you can think, "Oh," and you can take it for what for what it's worth too. I've also had places that I might have got a rejection letter on one thing, and then it goes on the blog, and people are like, "Wow, this is really good." So, I mean, it's one of those things. Yeah, you just.
Well, sometimes,
Mhm.
what I've learned is that the so-called professional eye looks for too
Mhm.
much perfection.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
So,
Yep.
yeah, if you put it out there for, say, the common folk to read,
Yeah.
it it might get the love that you're looking for from the so-called professionals.
Right.
But
True.
so,
I mean, that's the thing too. Exactly.
um, with that as well, so, how many, say, total blogs do you think you have actually written over the years? It might be a tough question. That might be,
And
but
I think I've had maybe about 50, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, somewhere in that range. I usually try to go about once a month, definitely whenever school is in session and I'm busy with that. And then hopefully over the summer I might get a few more entries in per month.
okay.
I'm that is one of the things I want to work on this summer is my blog. And yeah, just different ones. But I've also written for the Mighty. I've had about 30 some articles that was published with my very
Oh,
first place. And I've had articles that have been published for other places as well too. I mean, it's one of those yeah, so I'm not 100% sure on that. That's actually a really good question.
might be a good thing. Get a trophy for
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
um. So, have you thought about like writing a book? Like just
Yes, I have. I have, some ideas. I also have one I'm working on about my life story, but I just have to sit down and get that, written. That's, I think, my biggest challenge is that I can do a short blog or an article, but sometimes just
Mhm.
getting down and writing a book, that's the project.
Yeah, I'm actually I've been taking in consideration and partially started, I guess, about writing a book of my own about my
Right.
life. Because
Uh-huh.
I've had one hell of a run up until this point. So
Right.
and still, who knows what's gonna happen further on. So I've thought about doing it in so-called chapters.
Right.
So
True.
like when I say so-called chapters, I mean, say 15 years of my life, that's one story, the next 15 be another.
Right.
So just to, I guess, clarify that, but um I have considered it. I've been
Uh-huh.
actually working on getting a better computer so I could make that step because this
Right.
computer runs super slow.
Uh-huh.
But
I hear ya.
um so did you meet your might be a little off track, but meet your husband at college?
No, actually, I met him at the art center that I was volunteering at, and I have it's there's actually a really, cute story that goes along with this. I went through a lot of really bad relationships, and I was like, "I don't wanna meet anybody until it's the right person," and that's something I prayed about.
Mhm.
And God showed me all these little signs. I was at the art center volunteering years before I met my husband, and I had somebody that asked me, are you seeing anyone right now?" And I said, "Oh, no, I'm just, I haven't really met the right person." And that guy said to me, "I think you're gonna meet somebody at a place like this." And that's exactly where I met my husband. He saw me walking down the street wearing a red dress and wondered, "Who's that girl? And where's she going?" Well, it turns out that we were both going to the art center. He was playing guitar that night. We knew mutual friends. And then a friend of mine, before I met my husband, had a dream about me. He said that I had a dream that you got married. You were standing in front of the courthouse with a vintage dress on, and I don't know who the guy is. And I was wondering, okay, who is this guy and why am I in front of the courthouse? Now I can understand the vintage dress, but I just wondered about those things. We had our reception at the art center, and the photographer took us on a little walk after dinner. And in the park where she took pictures at, it overlooked the courthouse, and and
Oh,
I didn't realize it till I got the pictures back, but there I am in my vintage dress with my husband with the courthouse overlooking everything, and we were actually at the same place at the same time. We found out about that years ago, but we just didn't see each other until then. So, when we got to know each other all that summer, and yeah, here we are now.
that's awesome. That's actually so you met through mutual friends. A friend
Mhm.
dreamed about you getting married. Then you just so happened to marry pretty much the guy they dreamt about in front of where they dreamt about.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That alone is a nice little love story.
Yeah.
So that's
Yes.
cool. That's cool. Mine is my little love story is a lot different. I asked my wife to be my girlfriend in front of a chicken coop on a farm. She would not date me unless I got permission from her dad. So I went that route. I got permission from him. I got permission from her uncle because it was his farm. So I wanted to make sure I could do it just because like I knew all of them. We were friends with them all.
Right.
And they gave me that okay. I asked her, uh, proposed 6 years later. Actually, I was trying to my best. It was on Easter when I proposed to her. Just so happened to be April 1st that year,
Oh,
and I was gonna hide the ring case
mhm.
out in the yard with some of the eggs, and I was gonna make it an adult hunt, send her out looking for it, but it started storming.
Oh, no.
So, I didn't do that, because the case itself, it's a red ring case
Mhm.
with gold lining and little diamonds on it, but it looks
Okay.
like an egg.
Oh, it looks like
So, it would fit just to be the shinier one out in the yard pretty much. It has its own stand and everything, it's still underneath right here in the living room. Um,
nice.
yeah, it was, uh I had this whole speech planned to ask her to marry me.
Mhm.
And when I got on my knee when we were taking family photos, because that's when it was I was gonna do it. Uh, but when I got on my knee, I forgot everything and I froze. And
Oh.
already been with her for so long, but I had completely froze and almost had a panic attack. But ended up asking her. It happened a lot quicker than what was planned because again, I had a nice little speech going, but yeah, it just so happened she said yes. Uh,
Aw.
we've been together 14 years later. It's still a
Yay.
joke because I was still nervous to ask my girlfriend to marry me, which I've asked her numerous times. She just would never say yes. So it was a big joke that she was waiting for the right time to say yes.
She was just waiting for the right moment. Oh my
And
god.
so, yeah, it was that's my little love story. We've known each other pretty much our whole lives.
It's awesome.
Um, family friends. yeah, it just went on. 14 years later, we're still together, holding strong. So,
That's that's great.
how long have you been with your husband?
We've been married for 11 years, and I believe we've been together for about 17, maybe 18 years, somewhere around that
Okay.
mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, if I would have
Yep.
said maybe, she would have came through this door.
She was having yeah, I can't it's numbers. I'm like, "Wait a minute now, is this year?" And
Yeah,
it's
I
supposed to be
see,
a time.
it
Yeah.
says, yeah, 2015 is when you guys got married. I
Yep,
see
we got
that
married.
here.
Yep, we got married in
Um,
2015.
yeah, man, it's such a long time though, right? A lot of people,
It
they talk so much about marriage and everything else, but it's nothing like what people talk about. It's
um,
way different.
it is.
It's a
Yep,
different piece to have, so to speak, your best friend with you all the time.
exactly.
So,
Yep, your
but
best friend,
that's
the
what you need.
person you yeah,
Your
that you
best
travel
friend
with.
just so happens to be your editor.
Uh-huh, my
So
editor, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's hard work, but it's definitely worth it. I mean,
yeah.
that's one of those things that's the person that you're with, and yeah,
Mhm.
and you love them, and you gotta have fun together. That's what
Yeah,
I always
you
say
just
to
gotta
them.
remember there's 2 of you, it's not only you, so
Yep, it's not only you exactly, it's both of you, and you're working together. Yep,
yep.
exactly.
I did wanna ask as well, though. So,
Mhm.
you do work with, you're a paraeducator.
Yeah. Mhm,
So, for some of those, say, kinda like myself, like, I know kind of, but for
mhm.
us that we don't know exactly what that is, what is that exactly?
A paraeducator works in the classroom to help assist a teacher and also work with students. My job every day is a different day. Some days it might be working with a student that just might need somebody there to keep them on task, on focus. They know the information, but they're very um, distracted, or they might just need somebody to tell them where they need to be on a page. Other
Uh-huh,
times, I might be reading tests to students that need that. I might also be working with students to reinforce whatever the teacher is saying that the kids don't get. Everybody knows I can help them with anything except for math. I'm able to do that, and I don't have any shame with saying that. I used to
mhm,
think, "Oh, I have to know everything," and well, I don't. And I think sometimes that's a very healthy thing that an adult can come in the room and say, "This is something that I struggle with, and that's something I can't help you with, but I can help you with your reading."
mhm,
And I also showed my students how to advocate, because a lot of times I'll have a student that comes in and they don't know how to do an assignment, and especially if it's math related. And I'll be like, I can't help you with the math, but let's go ask your teacher. And they'll be like, oh no, I'm really afraid. And I'm like, it's all right, I'll go with you. And I
mhm,
go with them, and I will have them usually try to use their words to be able to say, I don't understand this. And I'm just there to kind of give some support.
uh-huh,
And what I love is whenever I get a student that I've worked with, and they're not afraid to ask for help anymore.
mhm,
They are going up, they're raising their hand in class, they're talking to their teacher by themselves.
uh-huh,
And I just think that's so key, because all my students one day will graduate and leave me. And I hope every single one of their dreams comes true. But for so many of them, their disabilities are going to stay. So I think it's just so important they learn now how to be able to speak up for themselves.
right. So, I guess, another part to that question, you keep saying kids, so do you work in, like, the elementary, or do you work in, like, the middle school?
I work in the middle school. I have worked in the elementary school before. I've also done senior high, but I've worked with 7th graders for the last couple of years, and I really enjoy working with them.
Okay.
And I think that's such an age though too, because I think a lot of times it's like hearing having the disability gives me that empathy, because without that, I I don't know. I think I would definitely love working with students, but I don't think that I would have that understanding what that's like. And I can't speak for every single student, but I get a really good sense that a lot of them, it's like hearing a recording of myself at that age. I hate my disability. I don't feel like I'm very smart, and they're not happy about being in learning support. They want to just be like any other kid. And I get that chance to tell them it's not a bad thing to have a disability. And this class is meant to help you out. And, I get to encourage them. And I know what it's like. I've sat in that seat before, and it's not easy. And I think sometimes if somebody hasn't gone through it themselves, they might say, well, why don't they want the help? Or what's wrong with them? Or why can't they
Mm,
just think? Or why can't they just get it? Or why would they think that? And I have that empathy because I know what it's like.
right. Well, uh, it's also kind of the perfect age range too, because it's I know it's not exactly middle of the school
Mhm,
wise, but it's pretty close to the middle. But it's where a lot of the kids are starting to get a new development and new understanding
mhm,
of the actual educational side.
right,
So, like, because sixth grade, okay, you're just coming out of the younger gap. Seventh is like
mhm,
a welcoming into the
yeah,
bigger group. So,
exactly, that's when they start for students who are in learning support, this is where they're going to start seeing how their life is going to be until they graduate. Like, they're going
mhm,
to have a class where they can get help, or they're going to have at least a 504 plan where they can get those services. And sometimes that's a little bit different from the elementary school.
mhm,
And they can be like a transition for them to learn, those skills, and we're also trying to give them things that they can do when they go out of school,
mhm.
that they know how to be successful if they come across an issue, and they know
Okay,
how to have some of those, so, I mean, it's not just about preparing them for the next grade, it's about really preparing them for life.
right. So you're teaching them some real life lessons along
Mhm.
the way.
Yep.
So that honestly, I know I kind of keep saying for the most part the same thing, but it's awesome to be in that standpoint to hear that you're actually taking the time and you're listening and you're
Mhm.
giving the attention to the kids, or not only kids, but I'm assuming some of the teachers, you're giving the assistance where is needed. And
Yep.
it can be hard because you can
Mhm.
get people that don't they don't actually acknowledge or pay that much attention to the kids
Mhm.
they feel are the ones seeking attention.
Yep.
And that's not always the case, unfortunately, for all these kids that kind of get pushed on the back burner because of these scenarios.
Right, and
So,
sometimes there's just not enough time too for a lot of our teachers there. I mean, sometimes we might have kids that are on
mhm,
that caseload. We have a curriculum. We have things that are going on in our building. We have a lot of stuff, and sometimes the teacher doesn't have time maybe to give to that student. And sometimes that's all it needs is just somebody to sit there and just keep them on task. So that way that teacher can just keep on teaching the class, and that student knows, okay, I have to try to be able to be focused, or this is what's going on, to keep them on
right,
that. Because yeah, sometimes we get ones that the teacher's trying to teach and they're up there, talking, or they have a question, or they're not, they need somebody for that. And other ones, they might just, sometimes we have teachers too that they are very good in their field. They're very good at what they're teaching. They're very great with a child that's neurotypical, but
mhm,
sometimes they're at a loss on what they do when you get a student that comes in that maybe doesn't pick up on things as quickly, or might need that extra support, or might need a test read, or just need some encouragement with that. So I think sometimes that,
exactly.
yeah, is where that comes in handy.
No, exactly. Like that again, just taking the time to do this and to be there to help
Mhm.
the kids and teachers. I'm sure it can get tiring.
Mhm.
I'm sure it can because I work with my own kids and I know it's tiring. So I
Yep.
understand that can be one, I guess, a crazy um more or less exercise on your brain at the same time.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
so, first off, I know you mentioned you went to college. So was it to be a paraeducator to actually help the people that needed assistance like this?
When I started out, I went for early childhood education to work in a childcare center, or I wanted to be a preschool teacher. It's kind of funny because I thought, I don't want to work with older kids. That's never going to happen. And I really found whenever I was looking for a job years later that they asked me, "Do you have experience with you have a lot of you seems like you have a lot of experience with younger kids. What about some older kids?" Well, I did have some of my clinicals when I worked as a TSS. And I said, "But I really love it. I love that age group. I love the age where they're they're just a little bit salty at that point, and they're just coming into themselves, and they're still young enough that we can make
Yeah,
that difference." And I think I love that age, and I mean, even when I work with older students too, and I think I also love we can be realistic and we can be honest about things, and I think that's why I love working maybe with older students at that point. And then when I went to university, I went into the service end of special education. It was called Community Programming for Americans with Disabilities.
okay.
And that I thought, well, maybe I'll be a case manager. Well, that didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. But I mean, I still got to work with people that had disabilities. And going into that program really gave me a better understanding of myself with a disability and other people.
Mhm.
And it's also funny there were people that could not pass the praxis because I knew that going into it becoming a certified teacher wasn't a great idea for me because I couldn't pass that test, and I know that some of the content well, rather than giving students that they couldn't pass that a degree that they couldn't use without the certification, sometimes we would just a lot of our students came to our program because that way they could still help people. They could have some guidance on that and they could graduate with a bachelor's degree and still be helping people with disabilities, but just maybe
Right.
not as a teacher.
Well, it also helps having that knowledge of like about the I guess harsh reality of dealing with things like this.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, so you went to work with young kids
Uh-huh.
and you decided you like to deal with the middle class.
Yes.
And nowadays is way different than compared to what it was when we were going
Oh,
through school in its own.
it really is. It's a lot different. I think some of it is our kids have that technology in front of them that
Uh-huh.
we didn't have.
Yeah.
And that's really even not just with attention, but also just with, like, looking up information. I will have kids that we will look up stuff and they don't some of them don't have that where they'll look up information and they wanna get right what's on the s right what's on what they search for. They don't wanna click on anything and read, and they're like, "The information's not there." And I'm like, "Well, you gotta click on it and read." I
Yeah,
said,
you
"You
gotta
know,
look
when
at
I
it.
went" Yeah, do you know when I went back to s when I was in school, we didn't have this, we had to go look in encyclopedias, and then you get some looks at that point, but
Yeah.
that's dramatically changed how a lot of times our kids get information. Um, we see sometimes family structures have really changed, of that, and sometimes, I mean, it could be the severe thing of, incarcerated parents or rehab for some of them, but other times it just might be there's just that different expectation with growing up that we had. So I think that sometimes a lot of our children have a lot of the situations have changed and sometimes the
Mhm.
responses that we do for that has definitely
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah, I mean, it, I know it's changed a lot. Like I was in the class
Right.
where I was in while it was transitioning to this new age.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I was in 6th grade when they brought in laptops to our school,
Right. Mhm.
which was give me a second. 2006, 2007.
That would make sense because
So they
mhm.
brought in computer or laptops because they already had computers that were
Right.
ancient at this point. They were
Yeah.
collecting dust still that we were still using. Um, but they brought in laptops for us to start using. They were
Mhm.
testing that ground. had these laptops to use for a year. Then they pulled them away, made sure you could still do everything on paper. Then they let you use them again to make sure you remembered how to use them. And like we're in the stage where they're figuring out if it was good to have this technology in the school or with
Right,
their
right.
students using it.
Yeah,
And but they were hearing through all these different sides where this school is doing their education has bumped up a couple different scores, so like you guys should be able to do the same thing, so they brought it back. And now we're in the position we are where kids are coming home with Chromebooks, and
right.
they're
Mhm.
also getting in trouble losing the Chromebooks because they're doing stuff they're not supposed to do,
Yeah.
which also in a sense falls back on the parents
Yep.
because they're not limiting what that student can do on that said computer when they take it home.
Right, we
And
have that. Yep.
I have
Exactly.
I have tried to keep my daughters from her, and
Mhm.
she would bring it home without me knowing and be playing on YouTube the whole time, or even in class she'd play on YouTube because they didn't block the
Uh-huh.
YouTube because they used it in some classes.
Right, so sometimes we might be unblocking students too. Sometimes students might be on a tiered system where they're blocked, but we have
Mhm,
a lesson that's on YouTube or they might be looking at a clip on YouTube and it might be on a different website and they'll say, "What do I do now?" And I'm like, "All right, let's go down to the office. Let's have them try to unblock you for this class because some of our
mhm.
students don't use that appropriately." And that's can be a factor as well. Yeah, and then, not everyone's a parent like you that'll just make sure that they're using that right, and, yeah,
I'm
it's
what
yep.
my kids say, I'm too strict. Which I'm just trying to make sure, like,
Yeah,
when my daughter got in trouble at school using playing on the Chromebook, my goal was, "Hey, take it from her, take her back to
yeah,
what you would call caveman days,
right.
like, pen and
Yep.
paper, call it good."
Yeah, exactly, and sometimes that we'll be getting pen and paper for kids that, a worksheet that's printed off that they have to use, or some of them have to use the textbook too for
Yep,
some things as well. And I think that is the key. I think a lot of it that has made our students more visual too. I can remember back when
yeah,
you were talking with laptops. That's about the time I went back to university, and it was so different. Students, everything was PowerPoints,
yeah,
laptops, and I can remember the professor. We watched movies in class, and she said the reason why we do this is my students are coming up more visual and if I don't meet my students where they're at, then we're going to lose a lot of our kids
mhm,
going into the future.
yeah. No, 100%, because
Hmm.
unfortunately,
Yeah,
technology has it's made a long way. I
it has.
can't talk too much trash on it because 'cause we're
No,
using it right now for one,
you're
but
right. And I'll tell you what, when I learned how to type, and when I was in 10th grade, that was a game changer for me because it took me a whole semester, not just that couple months. It took, or actually, it was a whole year of typing. But I could type reports, and nobody was trying to read my handwriting. And that really changed a lot in my life because up until that point, everybody was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to have write everything in cursive, and all the teachers expect that once you get up there."
exactly,
Nobody
that
wants that.
was the next step was cursive, and then
Uh-huh.
they found out my cursive was close enough to chicken scratch,
Yeah.
so they didn't want me doing cursive anymore because they couldn't read it.
Right, and I'm not against people teaching cursive handwriting in school. I think you need to know how to at least attempt to sign your name, but I also
Yeah, at
think
least.
but if something's not and if somebody can do that, great. That there's great jobs with calligraphy, there's wonderful jobs that you can do that with, but if it's not working for a kid with handwriting or anything, then we have to find something else that's going to work. Just
Mhm.
trying to harp on the same issue and trying to do something like that is never an effective thing.
Right, right. No, 100%. Yeah, you just nowadays, it's it's almost like writing itself is almost falling away, like it's
Right.
fading.
Mhm.
And I had a quick question about that actually, because
Mhm.
you said you've become a pretty good typer, right? So how many words can you type in a minute? Because
Well,
I
I'm
know
not
that's a test.
I am having difficult like, with the hand dexterity sometimes. So, I mean, I'm
Okay.
not the quickest, but I can go and correct it. It can show when I make a mistake, or I can also use the dictation software too, and that helps too if I have a day where I can't, do that very well. So, I mean, there is alternatives out there, but
Mhm.
typing really helped me, though, at least be able to pull together a paper that my professor
Right.
could read or somebody else could, and my editors, they've never asked for it handwritten, but I still sometimes will write out ideas on my own journal, but I
Yeah.
that is something that yeah, and maybe yeah, but there's so many things that people can do, and I think that's offering those choices. I think that is probably one of the things that I have really seen that maybe I agree with going towards the future with technology,
Mhm.
especially assistive one, that it
Yeah.
benefits not only me, but it can benefit somebody else. And there's also choices out there. If you don't like what's going on in the future, well, you can use other technology until I mean, it's too late, but I mean, really, there's so many things out there that people can do.
Right.
And right, because I'll have kids that'll come up to me and say, "Well, why do I have to learn this?" And I don't lie to them and say, "Oh, yeah, you're gonna need this someday." I've gone up to kids and I've said, "Well, you may not use this in the future. That'll be up to you. But right
Yeah.
now, we do have to get this assignment done." And I
Right.
find
It's a goal right now
yeah,
through the schooling. You
yeah.
have to get this part done at
Right,
least.
so yeah, and you can move on in the future because I don't sit around and play with the calculator for fun. And, I mean, I can't tell time an analog clock, so I don't think, "Oh, I have to be a better person so I can tell time on an analog clock." I'm like, I use my Fitbit and I use, digital displays, and that works for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, like, so do you know roughly how quick you could get 100 words typed? Because I know I'm slow with it.
I'm
I'm the
yeah.
finger pusher, like the
Uh,
old typewriter
right.
days.
I'll tell you what, I don't know how much I could with 100 words, but I do know that I take things, step by step, and I can type, and then if some one of the things my typing teacher taught me was not to worry about the spelling or the grammar when you go through because that slows you down. Go at the end though. And then you can
Yes.
go back. And now with our software, it's not just that guesswork. You can tell, oh, you spelled something wrong or there's a mistake, and you can go back through that. So
Yeah,
I
where
think
it
that
highlights it automatically now, so you know
just
what's
yeah. There's no more of this, guesswork on that. You know if you spelled something wrong,
yeah,
but you also do have to go through and have someone look at that because there's words that you could be spelling correctly, but they may not be used in the proper context too. So
yep,
that does that. I think sometimes a really good way with word count is when I have gotten things submitted with micro nonfiction, where you have to have a word count for like so many words. And
yeah.
it's kind of nice sometimes to have your word count right on there because then you can say, oh, okay, this is where I need to cut that word out, or this is where I maybe need to add something.
Okay, that's fair, that's fair. Because
Hmm.
like, I know I tried mine, right? I
Right.
went through I typed as best as I could for a
Yeah.
certain number, and I'm not quick with it. Like, my
Yeah.
wife, she can do the little finger tricks and work her pinkies in there, and I'm
I
trying
know.
to figure out I can't do that. Like, if I'm typing on my computer here, I might use these 2 fingers, but for the most
Right.
part, it's only 2.
Okay. Yeah, I can use my
Um,
hands. Yeah, but
but
it's
I can't do the rest. My I have really bad carpal tunnel in both my hands,
okay. Right.
so I can't necessarily feel all the buttons I'm pushing.
Right, and that does come
Um,
with the hand dexterity too, and yeah,
mm,
a great way is, just using the microphone, sometimes that helps to get the words, and sometimes but you still have to watch with that
Exactly.
too. Yeah, and but I do that, and I think that that might be the one thing when we get another PC is I think I wanna do a MacBook where or something where I have that
Mhm.
option where I can just speak into it because that makes it easier, um, for me.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm working on is, getting myself a MacBook.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get part of what
Mhm.
I wanna write for my story,
Right.
at least started on my phone because my computer is kinda slow, so I'm starting in my
Uh-huh.
notes. And once I get that computer, the MacBook, I can switch everything to it
Right.
since Apple has and Microsoft, but they have this wonderful thing where they can transfer the stuff. Like you can connect the cloud
It's nice.
and
Yes.
it comes in
And that
handy.
is it really does. That is the nice part about a lot of yeah, it can connect and, to have that.
So what I have a couple questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
Um so would you say the job you have now is that dream job? The one you've always wanted?
I think yes, I think there's parts of that is that job because I always wanted to help other people, and I do really well in a school setting. That has been the job that has lasted for about 15 years,
Okay.
and it's definitely something that I always wanted to be able to give back and help out. It just came in maybe a different way than what I thought. So yes, I am in my dream job.
That's not a lot of people get to be in their dream jobs.
Right.
So at least you're there. Like you know
Mhm.
what you have, you know what you wanted, and you
Right.
chased it. And now look at you.
Yes.
You're doing really good. You got all these different documents out there for you. You're speaking up.
Mhm.
You're bringing extra knowledge to the different learning disabilities
Mhm.
that people struggle with every day. So it's cool. You're using the stuff around you.
Mhm.
So yeah, I like that. At least you got your dream job.
Mhm.
Like I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Um, so do do you have uh a childhood hero? Someone you looked up to growing up?
I think someone that I really looked up to growing up was my dad. He made a big influence in my life. He's the first one that found a story that I read in second or third grade about a dinosaur, and he said, "Wow, this is really good." And that, and he read me a story every night when I was little. And I can just remember a lot of great conversations that I had with my dad growing up, and I still do. Sometimes I'll call my dad up, and I'm really blessed to have both parents, and I
Mhm,
think that was shaping how I was viewing myself and how I viewed a lot of things in the world and got me to think about things and to really just get my brain going. Well, how do I think about something that's happening? And that was what my dad was always really big on. So
mhm.
it's kind of it's funny. My husband and I came from two different kinds of backgrounds, and he's like, "Why do you talk all the time?" And then he got to meet my family, and we will sit around at the dinner table, like, when we get together for holidays, and we might talk about old memories, but then we'll talk maybe stuff that is going on in the world, and everybody has their own opinion on that. But we're
Yep.
talking about those issues. We're getting and that shaped my worldview. So I have my dad to give that credit to for really helping me to shape my worldview.
Yeah. I would have to say, in a sense, my dad as well.
Mhm,
He actually, and the reasoning is, I guess, a little different. So
mhm,
he's not my biological dad, but
okay.
he's my dad. He's the one that he signed
Mhm.
my birth certificate when I was in the hospital
Mhm.
still. He decided more or less every baby deserves to have a dad.
Mhm.
So without him, I actually wouldn't have a dad. I've heard and I've met some of my biological dad's
Mhm.
family, but I wouldn't call him my dad,
Mhm.
just because I have my dad. My kids have their grandpa.
Right.
Without him, I wouldn't have learned a lot of the stuff I have learned. So, he's helped get me by for years. That's for sure.
Yes.
So he definitely earned that spot. He taught me how to be a good dad.
Mhm.
He had his issues, but who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Nobody's perfect.
you have to learn to work around it.
Yep,
Um,
I agree.
yeah, so I would have to say my dad as well.
Mhm.
Um, let me see. So do you still look up to your dad, or have you found someone else that um or something else that you look up to?
I think another big influence in my life too as a late teenager has been my writing group.
Okay.
And I found a writing group with some adults that were a writing group for adults when I was a teenager that they were just a few years older than I am, and they added on to that worldview. They gave me maybe a slightly different one, and they gave me that acceptance that I didn't have whenever I was growing up
Mhm.
with my peers. And
Yeah.
I started hanging out with them, and they got to watch me grow as a writer and a person. And 20 some years later, well, actually 30 some years later, we still meet once a month to talk about our writing, and we're in each other's lives. We've been in each other's weddings, birthday parties,
So you
just,
guys all still you stay
yeah,
connected.
we're still
That's
connected with
awesome.
each other. And that has really shaped my view too, because my parents, of course, love me, but with having somebody else in life that
You had an
they,
outsource.
I had an outsource. Yeah, and they were the part that maybe we had more common interests that I could do, and they also started to shape how I thought about things, and some of it was a
Yeah.
little bit different, but and they were good influences in my life,
Mhm.
and especially with the not driving, maybe in the beginning they thought that that might be a possibility, but I had nice older friends that were taking me places, and my peers were wondering, "Well, why aren't you driving yet?" And that really wasn't an issue for them.
Mhm.
And I think that saved me from a lot of, getting into trouble when I was younger and having those friends, and they were the ones when I was in college
Mhm.
that I, they couldn't fix that I was really struggling on a quiz, or I was really or anything else in my life, but we could go out on a Saturday and we could have fun and we could laugh, and that just really helped a lot with, me growing up and feeling that connection, and that really repaired a lot of that self-esteem that maybe was really damaged, throughout a lot of those years with, just going through life as a kid with a disability.
Okay. Alright. Fair enough. Fair enough. You had a second family.
Yep, second
A
family,
second
yep,
family, and I
mhm,
mean, you guys still stay in touch, which is
we do,
awesome. Like, you don't I'm not entirely sure how long you guys have been a full group, 15
mhm,
years, 20 years, whatever it might have been, but
right,
that
yeah.
y'all still stayed in touch, that's awesome.
We have. We're still I mean, and it's changed a lot throughout the years. We've had people that have passed. We've added people with people getting married. We've just different people that might have come in our lives that we might have said, "Oh, we think you probably would fit in really well with us.
Mhm.
You might have some of those same interests." And yeah, I mean, things have it's changed, it's evolved. Nothing ever stays the same. But yeah, second family that just is
That's
really
awesome.
that's been there throughout all that time, the good and the bad.
Well, it wouldn't be considered family if they didn't experience some of the bad with you, right?
Yep, exactly.
Um, do you have if you could explain your we'll say your life in one word, what would that word be?
I would say interesting. It's
Interesting.
it's it's had those moments where it has been really low, and it's had those moments where it's been really happy too, and then
Mhm.
we balance out a little bit, and I think it's also been interesting how things have played out. I can remember when I
Mhm.
was really young, I thought that my life was always going to be hard and I wasn't gonna achieve or amount to very much. And my dad would always tell me success comes in a different package, but just it's going to happen for you. And he's right. It happened in something that was totally different, but it turned out to be a lot better. And I just think it's always interesting. There's always that challenge that I might face in life. But now as an adult, I can see, okay, things do get better and this will resolve. It may not always be how I wanted to or what will happen, but it will end up working out. And I just wish when I was younger that I could have told my younger self that it's going to be okay. You're going to succeed in life. Things will work out for you. I
Yeah.
think that if I would have listened to that and I would have heard that, I think that I would have had a much happier life.
Mm. Well, I mean, it sounds like interesting fits.
Hmm.
My see, I've asked that question a couple times, right, to a few different people.
Hmm.
Well, in a different way, I guess. But and just about every response I've gotten, every answer has been one of the words I would select for me. Because I have a list, right? So
Uh-huh.
my life, I would say, has been very interesting, confusing.
Yep.
Curiosity had definitely taken over for a long time. Um, have uh there's sad, happy,
Mhm.
wild, distracted. It happens. It's part of life. It's learning along the
Right.
way.
It is.
Um, so I'm asked you one more, just one
Okay.
more question.
Okay.
Do you have, if you could think of a song right now, that would fit your life right now, what would that song be?
I am not a music person. I have, yeah, my
You don't
husband would,
have any song that you can listen to day in, day out that it brings you some type of joy, some type of a new
hmm,
feeling.
that's a good question. I'd have to think. Yeah, I'm not the music person. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair
Mhm.
enough. Uh, I figured it was gonna kind of be one of the more difficult ones because you've spent a lot of your time with, I guess, new studies, learning
Yeah.
different ways to deal with
Right.
other things. So I have found that over the years, listening to music,
Hmm.
it brings me a sense of peace. Like I can listen to a bunch of different songs and I can feel different emotions based on the song.
Right. Hmm. Good.
And it right now I actually have a couple
Okay.
um that I listen to. It's They're on my phone. I can't think of what they're called by any means. But there's one of them. It's called Backroad Medicine. It's actually
Okay.
an AI song.
All
It is
right.
an AI song, but it's called Backroad Medicine.
Okay.
And it's one of them songs you just cruising down the road, down one of the back roads, just
Hmm.
cruising down the main road. It don't matter. You listen to it and you get an understanding that it's real. Like when you're driving by yourself or
Hmm.
you're walking by yourself, whatever it is, it's more or less you're not getting any judgment from
Right.
the road ahead of you.
Right.
Like the road
Hmm.
listens.
Check that out. Nice.
So it's a good song. It really is backroad medicine. It is an AI song. A lot of people are hating on AI music, but I don't mind it. It brings almost like a new sense of
Hmm.
relaxation.
Right.
So yeah, like I'll listen to a lot of the music, like say 50 Cent or Eminem. I'll
Hmm.
get the AI version of that from like the 1950s. Or like say if their songs was a jazz song or a rock and
Right.
roll, whatever it is, I'll just check it all out.
Right.
And it's not bad. They're It's a newfound relaxation, so to speak.
Very
I
nice.
used to be in my head very much, so when I found
Mhm.
that listening to music brings that peace, it was just something I do nonstop. It can be all the way up to where I can't hear anyone else in the car, or down just enough where I hear it. But I have this thing that with and they say it's part of the ADHD and ADD thing where I hyper focus on a sound. Like when there's too many
Mhm.
sounds, it'll drive me crazy. Like
Right.
I can't focus.
Right.
So when it's music or
Mhm.
movies, or if I hear something like someone's talking about and I find it interesting, that's where my attention is. It's not the person to my right talking to me in my ear.
Right.
It's the person over here that is their conversation caught my attention. It's not me trying to
Right.
butt in, but it's like, "Oh, hey, they actually have a great point." Or,
Right.
"Huh, I don't know if I agree completely with what they say, but I understand what they're saying."
But you understand. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Awesome.
Um, uh, I I know Imma go ahead and, uh yeah, I have to get ready to call it. Is there anything like, do you have a YouTube channel you wanna shout out? Do you have any upcoming events? Do you have anything planned out? Blogs coming out you want to shout out? Anything?
Sure. Just with my blog, that I do have an article on there right now that I wrote about. Um, I cannot make coffee to save my life, so I wrote an article about that. But I definitely have new stuff coming out for summer, and I'm
Okay.
also busy working on a disability policy cohort with some classes. So I have I'm busy with that as well. So then, yeah,
Okay.
it's all good.
Okay. That's I wish you nothing but the best with all
Thank
of
you.
that. It's cool that you found a way to more or
Hmm.
less use the disability you've grown with
Yep.
and help the younger generation. Because a lot of people would just be like, "Nah, I gotta focus on myself, get myself in a
Right.
clearing." But you're learning each day with helping the younger, and it's needed, especially nowadays. It's needed.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
um, yeah,
Thank you.
no, yeah, no, I enjoyed the conversation. It was really fun, and um, hopefully, your the work you're doing right now
Mhm,
gets more better acknowledged by
mhm.
people. Um, yeah, like you're taking time out of your day you don't need to,
Oh,
and
it's a
it,
pleasure.
it's cool.
Thank you.
Um, again, I appreciate you joining me today. I'd love to have you back on. I wanna see. We'll try to plan out again for another about 4 months,
Sure, sounds good. I would love that.
and let's see what happens. You said you might have an upcoming event. You're not 100% sure yet.
Mhm.
So see what happens with that, with the new policies you're putting in, or you're getting written up, so on and so forth. We'll
Okay,
touch back
sounds
in
good.
these,
In 4 months.
and yeah.
Sounds
So
great.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It was great talking to you.
It was wonderful talking with you. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.